A very late good evening to all of you, and thank you so much for remaining here, even in this last hour. And I thank my colleague, Dr. Manoj, for delivering this wonderful intro to this topic, where he was going so elaborative about what this placebo and what the question that we should ask. So, my topic is this: dangerous placebo. And I don't think this requires any kind of special definition to make it clear. But still, so the point is this: why homeopathy has to be criticized or must be criticized. And before going in detail about that, I would just wanted to remind you the points which I am trailing from the previous speech. That is, anyone can be affected by the problem called delusion. Even scientists and even Nobel laureates, anyone can be affected by this delusion. And the second point that we should understand, or that we should recall from the previous talk, is that the question why homeopathy works, or how this or why this high dilutions work, has to be replaced by why plain water or plain alcohol work. So these are the two things which we should take home from today. So now, the main points that I will be handling here in the next 40 minutes or so, maybe 5 or 10 minutes extra, if you could pardon me. That is why this subject first. Then a simple definition of what this dangerous means, or what a placebo means, and whom are we addressing this by the speech that I'm delivering here. Is it for the homeopaths or the homeopathic fraternity or the general public? But it's obviously to the public. Usually we do these presentations, though we are presenting in front of you. Most of the presentations that I had done in the past is mainly focused on the homeopathic fraternity, where the youngsters who are studying homeopathy, or maybe the doctors who are practicing homeopathy, or even the NEETs, or what we call those students who are preparing for the NEET exam and trying to get into the medical profession, and thinking that homeopathy is a part of scientific medicine and they might be taking that seat. I could see a doctor here who was present here, and she was sharing a point that, what if I went for homeopathy instead of going for the field that she's in now? She was really wondering, or what might be the future that she might be experiencing after listening to all the criticism that we raise regarding homeopathy. So that's a reality out there, where the NEET students, or the students preparing for NEET, they are totally unaware of all these things. So usually we are addressing all these people, but today we are specifically addressing the public regarding a very simple point that we'll get into later on. So, after understanding why it is dangerous, we'll talk about the direct and indirect perils of homeopathy, or the dangers of homeopathy, especially talk in general of the Ayush system or the alternative system, but especially specific to homeopathy. Then a new term that you might be wondering what it is: fake homeopathy. That is a oxymoron or something like that, you can say. Homeopathy itself is fake, but still we can say that there's a fake version of homeopathy too. Then we have this evidence around the world to support my claims, or our claims, that homeopathy has to be criticized, or it is causing the problems, or it has some dangers. Then some evidence from my part, my own evidence, as per some movies that a few. So, and finally one solution. So we'll get into that first. So you can consider this as an intro to a series of presentations that I'm planning to do, maybe in the future. So these are the main topics that I'm planning to do. That is why homeopathy must be criticized, to the public, then what's wrong with homeopathy, the theoretical part. We take out the organ of medicine, we take out the textbooks of homeopathy, and we will see in detail what are the problems in homeopathy, the literature, the theory. So there are some problems, and we need to address that, and we have done it in Malayalam, and I'm planning to do it in English. So, and after that, we have the status of homeopathy today, that is, it is an outdated system. Why it is outdated? How it can be called as an outdated system. So that's another one. Then finally, why I left homeopathy, the life of pi, like that. You can call it as the life of BHMS doctor. So this is the whole thing that I'm planning to do. So this is just an intro to that. So before going into further details, we can just see what a placebo is. It is something that is given to please someone, to placere. It's from a Latin word, to placere. That means to please. And there are some characteristics to that. One is, it is a harmless thing. It could be a pill, it could be a medicine, it could be a procedure. It is harmless. It is more than harmless, it doesn't have any action. Okay, it doesn't have any action, so it couldn't harm as well. And that substance has no therapeutic effect if given as a medicine. So that is something we call as a placebo. Even you can sing a song as a placebo, you can give a glass of plain water as a placebo, you can give some substances that looks like medicine as placebo. Anything could be given as a placebo. And the final aim or the objective of giving that is to please or to calm or to make sure those people whom they are given, as they are getting someone, so they won't be in a confused state that they are not getting any medicine or something like that when this placebo is used as a part of clinical trial or so. So when we talk about placebo-controlled trials, earlier we saw that there are some things we need to understand or recall. Placebo is used as a tool or as an idea, as a control to verify the effects, the real effects of a medicine. How it is done? Or just before that, just a short history of this placebo-controlled trial. The first placebo-controlled trial that can be dated back to 1747, you might be knowing that the discovery of vitamin C as the cause of scurvy, where an experiment was done by James Lind on a ship as a doctor, when he identified that giving lime water could save people who are affected by this problem called scurvy. So for that, he made a makeshift clinical trial on a ship where he took some people affected by this problem, and they were fed with a few food substances. And among that, a few people were given this lime water, and they were saved. And that's how he came to the conclusion that there's an option, or there's a medicinal value in this lemon water or the lime, which can save the people from scurvy. And he published that in 1753 in a treatise. And that's how that goes. But the term placebo in this clinical trial, that came into being in 1800s. And after that, the first recorded clinical trial using a placebo is in 1863. That is done by Austin Flint in a hospital setting to evaluate the effect of a medicine that was given during those times to evaluate or to cure this rheumatic fever. So he could identify the effect, the real effect, by comparing the effect of a herbal supplement or herbal preparation using a placebo or a dummy. So when we talk about dummy, we know that usually we use the term dummy to dummy, wall to dummy, dummy to wall, like that. It's a comparative tool to compare between things and to verify which is effective, to conclude that the thing which has the medicinal property has an effect by comparing it with a dummy. That's the crude idea that you can take home. So I'll give you a gist of what this clinical trial is. You can see we find a population first for evaluation purpose. Could be identifying a vaccine efficacy, or maybe finding the effect of paracetamol tablet in curing headache or in alleviating headache. You just take an example. So we take a population who are affected by headache. Among them, we take a sample, maybe 100 people who are affected by headache. We randomize them, male, female, age-wise, in different manner. We randomize them, and then we blind them. Blind from, earlier we learned about blinding. Manoj sir was talking about that, blinding. The person who is administering the medicine, or the test medicine, or the placebo, he won't be knowing who is being given this medicine. And also the person receiving the test medicine or the placebo, they also won't be knowing what am I getting. So that's how the blinding work. And now they are given the test and the control. That is, one is a test drug and the second one is a placebo drug. And after that, the status of the headache is assessed at the end of the experiment, after giving it for maybe 5 days or 2 days or maybe 1 hour. We can test. So after taking paracetamol, your headache is gone. And for a few people, headache remained. So we can say that, okay, that is effective. But still, there's a probability that a few people were still having the headache. So we look at the other one, that is, those people were given placebo. In that case, we can see that a few people, for them, the disease is absent. The headache is gone for a few people. But for them, more number of people are having headache. They are not getting any effect. So what you can see here, we can compare the efficacy, the significance of the number of people who got relieved of the headache by taking that pill. So we can say that the significance is more in the people who took the test drug. So by comparing it with the placebo is the test drug is more effective than the placebo, so that can be given as a medicine for treating so and so disease, in this case for headache. So that's how this works. So I hope this is clear. So now we can move a little more faster. The dangers, direct and indirect. So when you look at the slides, you can go with the red colored one. They are the direct effects. So the first one is delaying medical assistance, and the second one is the loss of life. These are the two major or very important direct effect of taking homeopathy or any alternative system. Okay, and rest we can see. Wastage of public money for providing such government funds, the public funds for education, for research. Then wastage of human resource, employing people in the name of alternative systems. Ayush, we have offices running, CCRH, then many other bodies. Crores of rupees are spent for this. Then we have the parallel healthcare, which is being handled here. We can see, we saw that during this COVID situation where the government or the health authorities coming forward and they are saying that, okay, you have to go with the vaccine. And at the same moment, we are seeing a few people sitting around on the other side of the road or on the next building, and they are saying, no, we have a portion of some green grass or some green leaves, you can just boil it and you can just get out of this disease. That's how they do it. So it's creating a parallel system, like a parallel universe, you can think. So just imagine how much damage that they are causing. And finally, the fear mongering, the scare that they are creating in the name of anti-vaccine campaigns. Paracetamol causes liver damage. Paracetamol can kill you. You might have heard that, right? These are the things which we are always told about. Even people are running for this alternative system, fearing all this. If a doctor identifies a person and he prescribes a surgery, the person runs out of the hospital and he will be entering a alternative system clinic, especially homeopaths, who gives them more time to talk, and he will be convincing them to not to go with the surgery and finally ending up with an organ failure. That's what we see. Every day in our research department, we are seeing these kind of people coming with liver failure, kidney failure, just because they were prescribed of a surgery maybe 1 year before or maybe months before, and instead of doing that, they go with some medicine and end up with organ failure. So, fear-mongering. A few examples for the indirect effects or the indirect causes that is creating this dangerous situation. That one is, this is in Malayalam, I couldn't find an English version of this, so please pardon me for that. So this is Janani, and this is a program by the Kerala government, Homeopathy department, for treating infertility using homeopathic medicines. Okay, so you can see in a newspaper cutting there on the right side that almost 42 mothers were there. 42 women got pregnant. Okay, so this was a news. I don't exactly remember the date, but still, what we did was we looked for published data from them first, instead of these newspapers. There was no published data for all these things. And secondly, since there was no published data, we applied using this RTI, right to information, to every clinic in Kerala. And we collected the data, the number of persons who attended the clinic, those who took the medicines, and all the things. It's a very, very elaborative report. And I think we had made a video on that, and we had uploaded it on YouTube as well, so you can watch it later. But the final thing is, we analyzed the data independently from 2012 to 19. And the ratio is this. Of all the cases, 95% of the patients, that was unsuccessful. And the success is just 5%. Below 5%. It's close to 4.2 and something like that. Not even 5%. Do you think that the chances of getting pregnant in a population is less than 5%? Without medicines? It is close to 10 to 20% of people suffering from some sort of infertility to get pregnant without any intervention. It is close to 20%. And what we saw in the clinic is 5%. So that means those mothers who were brought in to this, a big congregation of mothers treated with homeopathy, a conference type of thing where mothers upholding their child on their right hand and saying, proud homeopath is born here. So just imagine that way. So they are sensationalizing all this without any data backing, and they are just trying to sell this, market this in a different manner, where people are led to these treatments just by using testimonials. So that's why we always say that when we are living in a era where we talk about evidence-based medicine, homeopathy or these alternative systems, they survive using testimonials, and we have to call this as testimonials-based medicine. It is not evidence-based medicine. So this is the reality that we found. And now we have some of the central government programs like this Ayush counseling. You can imagine what could be the counseling that they could give. Burn some incense or boil some tulsi leaves, inhale, take turmeric, put oil. These are the counseling tips that they give. Okay, so in Kerala and some other states as well, coronavirus preventive medicine, prophylactic and preventive. We have already done a very elaborative talk on that. What's the difference between a prophylactic and a preventive? So at the first instance, it was called as a prophylactic. But later on, when there was a huge uproar against such a naming, Arsenicum album was called as an immune booster. So it just by a few hours or a few days, the name got changed. But I don't know whether Arsenicum album is aware of that name change. Just imagine Arsenicum album going inside, being taken as an immune booster. And this same Arsenicum album is given for infertility as well. So imagine the dilemma of this Arsenicum album going inside and totally confused whether to cure infertility or to boost the immunity. This is the kind of practice that is going on. So even this is the final thing which we fought tooth and nail in Kerala, where even I was called for a police case where I modified this poster and something was posted on Facebook. For that I got a case. I just edited the last portion and I just wrote sugar distribution in the schools. So for that I was called by the police. So when we say all this, finally the people come and say, it's just homeopathy, what's the fuss about? There's nothing to be talking such ill about such a cool system, such a sweet system. Why do you want to say all these things? At least it can cure dehydration. At least it can give some relief to the hypoglycemic people by supplying some extra sugar. So the problem is something bigger. We have seen people dying on the streets and under the trees without oxygen during the COVID. Still it is going on, and some other fevers are on the way, the monkeypox, and we are awaiting the next announcement of the second edition of Arsenicum album. Maybe, I don't know what the preventive or the immune booster that could be announced very soon. So this was the picture which came in front of us during this COVID. People dying on the streets and piling up dead bodies in the crematoriums. And everywhere, we never ever talked about the public fund being wasted for these kind of alternative systems, which is in crores, thousands of crores, which could be used to build some oxygen plants, to supply some vaccines, to build some hospitals, or to supply or to make means for the people to travel to their home. We have seen people riding or walking to their home on their feet, carrying the dead bodies of their relatives. We have seen that. We are not able to supply the proper ambulance facilities. So this is the reality that we are seeing here. And still we are talking about Ayush counseling helpline number. So we have to move forward. So now when we go into the direct effect, apart from all the indirect effects, these are the two things: delaying medical assistance and loss of life. So this is something very serious. And it's not just about man, not even animals are spared. One of our friends, he took his pet dog to a vet, and he was prescribed some homeopathic pills and some Ayurvedic herbal supplements in the guise of modern medicine. So there was no data to support that preparation is going to help. So if any one of you sitting here who have these pets at home, always be careful about the prescriptions that you receive for your pets. Just go through the medicinal combinations or the line they write there, proprietary Ayurvedic medicine. That's how they write it. Be careful of such things, because it can cause some severe harm to the pets as well, not just humans. And it will be much more pronounced in animals. So, what are they? How this is damaging? Or what are the evidence to support my claim that it can cause some harm? So let's go one by one. So how it is damaged is clearly explained by 2 points. One is problems with the medicines and the faulty practice of medicine. Here you have to trail to the earlier conclusion that I was reminding you of. The new question that we must be asking. Why homeopathy works should be replaced by why plain water or alcohol must be working. Here it comes to use at this point. Because real homeopathy is safe. Nobody dies of drinking water unless you have water toxicity or water intoxication, where you drink 25 liters of water in a go. Your kidneys will be in trouble and you can die. Otherwise, it is safe. Nobody will die of pure, classical, original homeopathy. Okay. But still, when we talk about these, there are some questions coming up in the minds of public, the common people. Why are you criticizing? I have taken homeopathy. I have given medicine to my pet dog. Still, I have seen it curing. So what are the reasons? Why is it seemingly effective? This is a very elaborative topic, but I'm just giving a slight intro to that. These are the 10 things, 10 points which you can note it down. One is a disease has a natural course. It always regress to the mean. It goes up, the symptoms begin. You take any disease, any natural disease, that will be having a prodromal stage where the symptoms won't be appearing outside, but we can call it as incubation period. We have heard about that word. During that period, you won't be having any symptom, but still the virus is inside, the bacteria is inside, and it is increasing in its number until a point reaches where the bacteria is, or the virus is attaining a particular number where it can cause some serious damage and the symptoms will appear outside, it can manifest outside. So after that, then we have the subclinical stage, then clinical stage, and after that, attaining a point, the body will start to counter this infection by producing antibodies or some other things inside the body. And after that, the disease will start coming down. That's how it comes down. So for every natural disease, either it will go on its own or either it will kill you. These are the two outcomes which we can expect. So the problem is, if it's not killing you, it can go off without causing or without making any remnants of damage, without affecting you much. But at times, it can damage some of your organs, it can cause some other problems. That is the area where modern medicine enters and always tries to cut down the effects or cut down the suffering, whereby the regression to mean is made faster and the disease is not remaining inside, or it is not able to leave any other symptoms or any damage which can last longer. So that's how the medicines are working. But here, this is one reason why we feel like if we are giving a homeopathic medicine at a stage in any of these regression phase, and we can attribute the cure happened because of our medicine. And next one is episodic diseases. Some diseases comes and goes, comes in winter, comes in summer. So we give a medicine at the end of summer, and we see the disease is disappearing at the end of summer, and we can say that, okay, I took a pill and the disease vanished. So we are attributing the cure or the disappearance of the symptoms to the medicine that we took just before that. Like that cyclical nature, it can recur, come and goes. Especially in allergic conditions and all, we can see that. Then we have posthoc fallacy. We can also call it as the black cat fallacy. Okay, so I got this problem just because a cat went in front of me and that was a black cat. That's the idea. I got cured just because I took this medicine. There is no validation. You are just claiming. Then we have the other one, the believer mentality. This is the most famous mentality by which all the homeopathic or all the alternative system doctors are surviving. No clinics are getting attacked just because of this. Because the patients have more faith in system than the doctors. So even if some failure occurs, it is the patient who comes and pacifies the doctor. It's okay, doctor, this happens. There's nothing wrong in it. Maybe it's my fate that it didn't work. Nothing wrong with you. You are a good doctor. This is how this functions in a homeopathy clinic. So this is the believer mentality. So even if there is a problem, it is not claimed or it is not attributed to the system or the doctor. It is taken themselves. There's a self-reproach in that aspect. So the blame is upon the patient itself. They never admit that medicine didn't work. Then we have the placebo effect, the most famous one, which we were talking here. And the confirmation bias. We always look for we cherry pick some instances or some cases where we have seen, okay, that boy was born using homeopathy, so homeopathy works. We will leave out all other 95% cases which we saw earlier in that slide, which was not getting any kind of effect after taking homeopathic medicine for infertility. We will leave out them. But we will just pick those 45 cases of success and we will be claiming a huge success. Undue claims of effectiveness is a hallmark of pseudoscience. So wherever you see an undue claim made by any of these kind of practices or practitioners, always there should be a light blinking, warning light, a beep sound. Something is wrong. It's an undue claim. Be careful. An exclamation mark should come there. Undue claim is a hallmark of pseudoscience. And this happens here. Then, most practical one, that is the wrong diagnosis, the hybrid therapies. The diagnosis might be wrong. I have seen cases where these radiologists, they can find anything inside your stomach, anything inside your pelvis. So one diagnosis was of a dermoid cyst. It's a case in a woman of age 26. She was so anxious about that. A dermoid cyst is something, after looking at, or if you look at the picture, even now you can do that. It is something scary. A cyst with tooth, a cyst with hair in it. Okay, it is something scary. So, the moment she learned about this from the radio diagnosis, she went to a doctor, a homeopathic doctor, and she started taking medicines from there. And after 2 months or so, she again went for another ultrasound scanning, and that was not there. Miracle, right? So, what happened was, that was a wrong diagnosis of dermoid cyst in the first instance, because that was confirmed by another radiologist. After seeing that report, there's nothing wrong in it. Who said this is a dermoid cyst? So, as our sir was saying, even doctors can be deluded by seeing some patterns, by seeing some things in these scan reports. So this is what is going on. So, wrong diagnosis. That miracle that was done by the homeopath was in vain. Then we have this hybrid therapies. You take paracetamol for your headache, and after that you take a tea or some tulsi leaf. But being an Indian who is so much attached to our culture, who is having an appeal to the tradition, to heritage, and even to our ancestors, to our parents, out of love, we will be saying, okay, paracetamol didn't work. It was the tulsi that worked. So that's hybrid therapy. Then, finally, our main point, that is fake homeopathy. This is what the whole point of this speech is. Because all other things we can, for time being, we can just keep aside. Because, if those medicines that were given are pure water, that can cure your dehydration. There is nothing wrong in it. But if it is fake homeopathy, that is something very serious. And the proof for that was given in 2005 itself, and as we saw earlier, the end of homeopathy, that was published in the Lancet. And you can read the last part, which is highlighted there, that now doctors need to be bold and honest with their patients about homeopathy's lack of benefit, and with themselves about the failings of modern medicine to address patients' needs for personalized care. So this is the only single reason why people are fond of this alternative system. Modern medicine doctors must spend time with the patients. They must look for some personal connect with the patients. That's the only way by which this kind of practices can be controlled in our society. Otherwise, this is not going to end. So this is even cited by the Lancet in their report. So that's a problem. So now comes, why fake? Why we call it as a fake medicine? And if any of you thinks that I'm saying it as a joke, it's not a joke. Nobody should laugh at that. Fake homeopathy is a real problem. So let's see, what are some examples of fake homeopathic products? You can see here, mother tinctures. If any of you had taken homeopathy for any of your illnesses, you might have taken these drops, the medicines in the form of drops, right? The colored liquids, 10 drops in the morning, 15 drops in the night. So usually the patients comes and they ask us, they will be so anxious, doctor, you told us to take 15 drops, it got 16. Is there any problem? So this is the kind of anxiousness that is being cultivated in the patients. And that is just because of the connect. They have the freedom of asking such foolish questions. So these are some of the examples. Ashwagandha, you know that. Ashwagandha, when it is bottled as a herbal preparation, and if it is manufactured by a homeopathic company, it is a homeopathic medicine. Okay, and just imagine if at the same premises, at the other end of that building, there's a Ayurvedic department, they'll be bottling the same ashwagandha extract and they will be labeling it as Ayurvedic ashwagandha. So what is deciding it is Ayurvedic or homeopathic? Is it the content? No, it is the label. So if the label is misplaced, if the homeopathic department gets the Ayurvedic label, just imagine the product. Ashwagandha is safe here, but the labeling decided. So this again goes with the ultra diluted dilutions, where there's no way that you can identify two mixed up dilutions and identify, okay, this is Arsenicum alba 30C, this is Arsenicum alba 200C. You can't identify this. It is just the label that is identifying this. If the label is removed, both are alcohol and it is injurious to health. And we have this Revolfia, which is given for hypertension. Then we have the alpha-alpha, then hydrastis. And we have this Phenylphthalein 1X. And the biochemics, which is being prescribed, the tablets, then many other low potencies, where the chance of having these crude drug materials is there. So why this is being called as fake? Because as per homeopathic literature, which we will be going on in detail in the next series of this presentation, maybe in some other venue, we'll be going in detail through the theoretical part. But still, I'm just giving a gist of that. That is the aphorism. The Bible of homeopathy is organ of medicine. Okay. If any one of you is offended, you can say it is Quran of homeopathy. So the problem is, aphorism 11, 6th edition, you can see a word, dynamic influence. This is how the whole system of homeopathy exists, or homeopathy works. Because the disease is caused by a dynamic derangement. That means something immaterial. We know today that disease is caused by some organisms, maybe some biochemical errors, or maybe some even due to some injuries or any other cause. So, but for a homeopath, it is not like that. There is no organisms. Hahnemann lived in an era where there was no bulb. Do you believe that? There was no bulb invented during Hahnemann's era. He was writing all these books in front of a candlelight. There was no germ theory at his time. He haven't ever heard of this bacteria or virus. So now you just imagine how these things are discussed in the Quran of homeopathy. Dynamic influence. So the disease is caused by something immaterial, that is supernatural or some kind of which you cannot perceive with your normal 5 senses. You require a 6th sense. And in that case, if you need to address that problem, which is supernatural or which is dynamic, you have to take the medicine and which is completely filled with material substances. You need to extract the dynamic power which is inbuilt or which is ingrained in that. And for that you have to rub it, you have to shake it, you have to do all such things, which is explained in homeopathy. And all these things are done to separate this material from this immaterial. And then this immaterial is able to fly high and they can go and attack. You just remember the Jai Hanuman series where these arrows going from one end, the other end, and meeting together, then some flashing lights and all. That's the exact thing you can imagine. So this is the literature, this footnote. You can see there, that smallest dose can therefore contain almost entirely only the pure, freely developed conceptual medicinal energy. There's nothing called a medicinal energy in modern science. That is totally rubbish. But we can't blame Hahnemann for this because during his time, the concept was this. So he's saying or he's writing all these things inside the book. We can't blame him. So this is the whole idea on which homeopathy is existing. So he's also saying that such great effects can never be reached by the crude medicinal substances itself taken in large doses. So mother tinctures won't work. That's what is written here. This is the reason why we say that any homeopathic preparation which is labeled homeopathic medicine and which is having any material content in it, which is having any kind of biochemic properties, which has some material substance, is not homeopathy. Homeopathy should be plain water or plain alcohol. Because as per the textbook, this is the idea. Because mother tinctures cannot meet that other arrow, Jai Hanuman. So these are some of the examples that might be useful for you. Fake homeopathy. I'm giving this because just after this presentation, otherwise you will be asking me this. I had what? And I had took an ointment, applied it, and it was disappearing. So homeopathy is effective. At least one person here will ask me. So this is I'm taking a leave from that. So Tuja, we call it. This is a medicine in homeopathy, and it is used as an ointment, where this extract of this Tuja plant is inside that ointment, and it is applied over these warts for removing these warts. Wart is another condition caused by a virus, human papilloma virus, and many other causes are there. So what is causing this disappearance of these warts? It is a content in it called tujon, which is a monoterpene, which is a skin irritant. If properly applied, that can disintegrate the skin tissue there. What is a skin tissue in effect? The only problem is it is raised and it is causing a disfigurement, and you won't like it looking at it. It is ugly to look. So you apply on it, that can affect its properties. It can disintegrate. The warts will be thrown out of the body. That's what causes the disappearance. There's nothing homeopathic in it. This is fake homeopathy. If a homeopathic doctor prescribes this, you can check with them. Or you can just ask, doctor, is this homeopathy? You can see him turn red. Okay. Then another examples. I'm not going into the details of each and every active ingredients in all these products, because if we go like that, this won't end, because there are n number of products out there from every manufacturer. And you can even see that there's an Indian version of homeopathy where all the plant extracts or the plant knowledge which is present as part of the Ayurvedic system is taken into homeopathy. And we have a separate book of Materia Medica of medicines of Indian origin. We have a separate book like that. So that's how these alternative systems are going hand in hand, like this, supporting each other, scratching each other. So that's, and even these medicines, you can even see some modern medicine present in it. A few examples are this. And we cannot say these are just fake homeopathy, these are dangerous homeopathy. Because other products, if you take, and if you are looking for any kind of dangerous effects, it might take some time. Maybe the people might not be taking it for long, so they won't be ending up with some cumulative effect of such drugs. But these are some drugs, I hope you can see there. One is Revolfia, which was a drug used in modern medicine as reserpine, as an antihypertensive, and it was banned of use back in 1999 or so, by 2000, because it was causing suicidal tendency in those people who were taking that drug. So until that time, reserpine, which is a molecule from Revolfia, was the main line of treatment for hypertension in modern medicine. But later on it was taken out. So the same way you can see Arsenicum iodatum, which is given in 3x potency. That is, it contains arsenic in material amounts. And the last one, Phenylphthalein, which is a carcinogen. It can cause bladder cancer, and that was the reason why this was withdrawn from modern medicine, and which was given as a drug for this constipation, and they were taking it. But later on they realized, as a laxative, apart from that it can cause cancer. But still, you can see this medicine present in these medicines, Vilax. So back in 2000 or so, we made such a post and we were talking about this, and these companies, they were calling me and they were even threatening me. And some other companies, like the previous one, I don't know whether they took it out or they just deleted from the PDF, the Word file, by keeping the content there. Anyway, some companies, they took the medicine out from their prescriptions after knowing about all these things. So the ultimate thing is, the most common narrative when we speak about all these alternative systems is that it is natural. So what's wrong in it? Being something that is natural means that is not safe. It is not, it's a wrong notion. A natural snake bite can kill you. Okay, there's nothing called natural snake bite. A poison is poison whether it is synthetic or natural. So that's the whole idea. So these are the things which is based on the theoretical part and causing damage. And the second part is, the final part, the adulterants and the poor manufacturer. So what are the adulterants? Recently we did this analysis of one of the samples that we procured from the patients at our department, and that was Arsenicum album that was taken as a immune booster, not for infertility, and that was analyzed at a lab, and we could find the amount of arsenicum present in it as 0.18 milligram per kilogram. This was the amount that we found in it. And this patient, I remember he died. He died of a peculiar type of anemia. And that was the case. And if you buy any homeopathic medicine bottle and you can read there, the alcohol content in these bottles, 91%, volume. If you buy Scotch or whiskey or any other, you won't be seeing this. You can find hardly 42% or maybe below 50%. You won't see this. And the best part we enjoyed in our college days is that we were served with free liquor. There was no problem in getting this liquor because it was readily available in our pharmacies. So if in any moment we wanted to get boost, we just approach our pharmacist and we'll go inside and we'll take a bottle and it will be placed as different bottles, Arsenicum album, Bryonia, Belladonna. So we'll take a little from each and the problem is the next day Arsenicum album has to boost the immunity. Okay. So, and Belladonna has to cure fever. Belladonna is the number one medicine for fever. So the problem is after we take this alcohol from one bottle will be having very less alcohol in it, medicine in it. Sorry for that. So the next day we will be caught for this less amount. So maybe they will get to know that somebody is stealing this. So what we do, we just mix it up and keep it level. And fortunately, Arsenicum album knows what to do. So every day in the morning, Arsenicum album comes as Arsenicum album, Belladonna, Bryonia, and the doctor prescribes Arsenicum album, specifically cures infertility, then boosting immunity we'll boost it like that. That's how it works. So I think the inventor or the father of artificial intelligence should be this Hahnemann or so. That much intelligence is there. Anyhow. So now the evidence, the last part. We have seen this case. We always talk about this, the Australian parents who were jailed for killing their child. Killing in the sense, literally they killed their child by denying proper medical treatment. So we were talking about the direct effects by delaying proper treatment. This is how they do it. So for a skin condition, we have the medicines today. We have the options today, the scientific options, which is validated and well established. But instead of giving these parents, they took the child for homeopathic treatment. They themselves were homeopathic practitioners. And finally, the child died. So since they were in Australia, that was a serious issue. It's a manslaughter issue. It was taken so seriously, and they were jailed for 25 years. So we can't expect this to happen in our country at this moment. If that has to be there, the first persons to go to the jail would be maybe our prime minister or our these health ministers. They will be in the jail. You have seen Harshvardhan, I think, I remember so. He was telling about a medicine manufactured by some Ayurvedic companies as approved by WHO. What approval? WHO is not there to approve any kind of medicine. They are just a political organization where they just oversee the healthcare in the world, where they will just try to, they are a communicative platform where they will be gathering the information and they will be giving out the information and maintaining the healthcare. That's it. They just take out the information, the scientific validated reports and all other things from outside. They are not doing any kind of validation. Even if you manufacture any Arsenicum album to boost immunity, no WHO is going to validate it because that's not the duty of WHO. So even at that moment, we are seeing our health minister claiming that this medicine, some Ayurvedic medicine, is being approved by WHO, and later on WHO themselves came forward and they clarified it. We didn't do this. They hand-washed. So this is the things that is going on. And another case, parents of boy who were again sentenced to imprisonment for treating the kid for ear infection, a simple ear infection, which could be treated using antibiotics and some simple medicines. That boy was killed. And it was in Italy, I remember so. And even they were jailed. You might be thinking, okay, so after all these years, all this research, you were only able to find just 2 cases? No. There are n number of cases like this, and there is even a repository of such cases being reported. But there is a problem, that is, this is overlooked. This issue is overlooked. Because there is a notion all around that homeopathy is safe, it is side effect free, it's not going to happen, cause any damage. That's a common notion that is prevailing here. So that's where we are entering, and we are looking for these damages. You can see here the herbal and dietary supplements, the causes that caused liver injury. This is the area where we are working on, that is drug-induced liver injury, DILI we call it. Drug-induced liver injury. So in all these past years, we were analyzing all the reports and all the cases that we were receiving. It was just 1 or 2 cases of paracetamol poisoning that we saw. And that too, the patient took it for suicide. And even then, she was surviving. Why she survived? Because we knew that this was poisoning attempt by paracetamol. So since it was paracetamol, there is a known antidote. So the problem is, or the whole idea is, if you could diagnose the problem, it is half solved. If you could find the reason of the cause or the trouble, it is solved almost half. But in a case where you are seeing a patient with any of the herbal supplements or such alternative systems, you are not able to assess the damage, and you are not able to identify the causative agent so that you can give a proper antidote. This is the problem. You are completely blinded. You are approaching a person without knowing anything about the cause. That is the area where the fatality in such cases were more. So when you look at this pie diagram, even though the causes or the liver injury that was caused just by 16.53%, the fatality was more in such cases. That was the finding that we were seeing. And these are my own or our own findings in our department. You can see our names there. So this is a case, a series of homeopathic Arsenicum album induced liver injury. 3 cases were reported recently. It was published very recently. And this title, Dangerous Placebo, it was taken from this paper, and it was done by our chief, Dr. Abby Phillips. He's a liver specialist. So this is the work we are doing, and we are seeing such cases. You can see the biopsy reports. So you might be thinking how we diagnose or how we confirm that this was caused by Arsenicum album. There's a methodology for that. That's how science works. We made a conclusion based on some scoring systems, some identification protocols, by ruling out other causes, other probable causes, and later on zeroing in onto the causes that could be this Arsenicum album, and later on confirming it using biopsy. So biopsy was just a confirmation, and it is not required as well. Because we had another case where we were not able to get the patient's samples because he died. But we had managed to collect his hair and nails, and we analyzed it, and we could find Arsenicum in it. That's how we did it. So it's just a beginning where we are starting to document these kind of problems, and in future you'll be getting to all these details, and it will be published everywhere. So the conclusion here, what we made was, it was an avoidable drug-induced liver injury. That means in some predisposed cases, this kind of injudicious and without any irresponsible administration of these kind of products that can cause damage. This is what we say. The second one was this, hepatitis-associated aplastic anemia. This is the case where we saw that earlier picture, 8.18 milligram per kilogram, that sample, Arsenicum album. This patient died. Of these 3 cases, 1 patient died. The other two were compensated by giving proper medical care. So, but this patient was dying, we couldn't save them. This is another case. Homeopathy medicine induced severe alcoholic hepatitis. This is so, what do you say, a botched up homeopathic practice that killed this person. That is Gilbert syndrome. You might be knowing that. Your blood values will be increased of bilirubin, and you'll be having yellowness everywhere, but you won't be having any symptoms other than that. This is a condition which exists like that. It doesn't require much medications. This patient went to a homeopath, and he was prescribed of some medicines, and later on he got into this alcoholic hepatitis, and he died. This is the first case which was reported in 2019 by Dr. Abbey and his team. At that time I was at the end stage of leaving homeopathy. That time I saw this paper. So this is the case, and this patient died. So the homeopath didn't know that this condition doesn't require a treatment. If this patient was taken to a modern medicine hospital, obviously the doctor would say that it's okay, you don't require any treatment, you can go home. If there is any problem, you can come back and we can initiate any sort of treatment at that moment only. Right now, you don't require a treatment. That's the correct approach, and that's how it is being said everywhere. But a homeopath here put him on these kind of pills and drops, and later he was died. So this is the details about Gilbert syndrome. You can read online. I'm not just reading, go through that. So the only thing is Gilbert syndrome is typically harmless and treatment isn't required. A simple Google search will give you this information. This was not taken up by the homeopath. So, did you ever hear that any homeopathic clinic was attacked by such cases? No. Because it's like that, the believer mentality. Even I approached this patient for going with a medical legal suit against them. They were not willing. And the story ends there. So this is the RUCAM score by which we collect these data and by which we arrive at the conclusion that these are the cause, or this medicine caused this injury. And this is not for homeopathy or Ayurveda. This is for modern medicine toxicity, for assessment of that toxicity. But now we are using the same tool to assess the toxicity of herbs and this alternative system, including homeopathy. So this is how science works. So finally, the solution. Do you think that there is a solution? I hope so, because there's no problem without a solution unless we try for it. So here also we have a few solutions. The first solution is a proper communication between the doctors, the modern medicine doctors and the patients. Apart from that, that can a nurturing of scientific timber in our society. And I think these kind of information, they can take it as a stepping stone to begin the quest for more details of these things. What is wrong with homeopathy? And even you can listen to our next speeches on this subject. So this is how it works. And the second most important aspect is affordable evidence-based medical services that should be universally applied, especially in India. Since we are not having such universal healthcare solutions, people are led to these kind of alternative practitioners. So our politicians, they think that homeopathy or any such alternative systems, that is a makeshift arrangement to pacify these people. So almost 65% of our population in our country, they are not getting enough medical care, 65%. So what is there as a solution for them? Alternative systems. That's how our politicians think. So the policies must change. The politicians must start think. And they should try for giving more these kind of medical services, and that too, free of cost. Universal healthcare, that's the motto of WHO itself. So we have to implement that in our country. And another one is insurance. Insurance can make many things happen. And that's how homeopathy was coming to an end in the West, especially in Europe, where the insurance was provided, or this medical reimbursement that was given by the National Fund, NHS. People went against them. The science community went against them for providing this kind of insurance support for unproven systems like homeopathy and acupuncture and all. So that was taken to the court. And finally, the court decided, if you have some evidence, produce it or an end date was given for them. They were not able to produce any evidence, and finally they were removed from this national reimbursement, healthcare reimbursement. So a universal insurance scheme, which is public funded, I think that can make this happen. And finally, we have to convert all the alternative system medical colleges into museums. Okay, where you can keep different big and small and all sizes, these statues of Shushruta, Charaga, Hanuman. And even now we had some introduction by Manoj sir, Ben Veniste, then all these people. We can place them, how this homeopathy was in the history, how this Ayurveda was in the history. People can take ticket, go to these places, they can say, Mashallah, after seeing all these things. So that's how, because we live in the past. That's how we live. We require some kind of, these kind of stories or these kind of traditions. And we feel proud of that. So the only way to pacify such minds is to give some opportunity to feel proud. And that's not by giving them Ayurvedic medicine, but Ayurvedic statues or homeopathic statues. They can look at it, they can stay there for hours looking at Shushruta and say, or they can even do yoga by sitting there. There's no problem. So I think we have to move forward from such a situation where we are creating a parallel universe, parallel healthcare, where this alternative system are really alternative and damaging our health and taking us backward. So I think this completes the session, and we might be having a small question answer. And just before that, I wanted you all to be there in the Litmus 2022 happening in Cochin this October 2nd. So that's the biggest such event that is happening in the world. Almost we are expecting 10,000 people there. So I hope you will be there. You can listen to many such talks there as well. So, and as earlier we were saying that you won't be feeling alone, or that's how we survived, or I survived basically. There's a point in our life where we'll be feeling alone after making such crucial decisions in our life, where we chose to be a ex-homeopath, ex-Muslim, ex-communist. You can imagine what happens. Okay. So if somebody come and beats you, you must stop him and ask, who are you? Are you a homeopath? Are you a Muslim? So that's the real situation. So just enjoy that. And you can be with such people. And I wanted to welcome you all to this event, Litmus 2022 in Cochin. So I think we can just have a small discussion and we can wind this program. And thank you so much for these organizers for arranging this. This was, I think, the first announcement was done in just before COVID, I think in 2019. Okay, this was planned in 2019 and COVID came and we were not able to come here. So finally this happened and I think we can continue this. I'm giving you the option. There are 4 more topics left. We can have it. So thank you so much for having us. Thank you. How dangerous is it to give homeopathic, what is in the back bracket? Fake, okay. Fake or ultra ultra fake medicine to infants. My sister has been forced to consult homeopathy for homeopath for her kid who is 6 months old. She's not a proponent, but she's not too much against it too. What are the long-term side effects? Okay, like not responding to anesthesia. Oh, okay. Yeah, if it is fake, if it is really fake homeopathy, that original homeopathy, it is totally safe. Okay, there's no problem, and you can see how placebo works. You can see to yourself. If it is real homeopathy, unless the problem is not real, you won't be requiring any real medicine. So, for real problems, you will have to give real medicine, and that is modern medicine. There's no other option for that. Otherwise, you can give whatever things you want. Only thing is you have to label it properly. Okay. Homeopathic ambulance. May I say a joke to you all, that is homeopathic ambulance. Okay, and I can tell you something else, that is homeopathic suicide is also there. Okay. Then, did you see a shift in the way the general public see homeopathy dogma now after the pandemic? Has it grown or is it diminishing? Obviously, it is diminishing. That means people are now realizing what the problem is, because I feel COVID has given immense opportunity to voice all these things. Otherwise, just imagine who will talk about Arsenicum album sitting confused in the tummy, whether to treat infertility or to boost immunity. Nobody will talk about this. But now only we got a chance to talk about this, and obviously that is helping us. And even today I met an ex-homeopath here. So there are people coming out, there are homeopaths coming out. We have a doctors group where we are talking all these things. There are more and more homeopaths coming out. And we have also learned that the admission happening in the colleges, the BHMS admissions, they are also coming down. So our only aim during all these years for criticizing homeopathy is not the public, because we cannot convince public not to take homeopathy. But instead, what we were doing was to convince those people going for BHMS not to go for that. So this could be stopped only when the admissions come down and there won't be anyone to take this course. That's the aim. Then only the public will realize there's something wrong with this. Otherwise, nobody will listen to us. So our aim is to stop these students. So now we are taking a different route, and that's why I was saying this in the beginning itself. Okay. In universe only 10 to 80 atoms, so theoretically 40C is possible. So how more than 40C possible in homeopathy? That's why we call serial dilution. Okay, we are not taking all the solution, all the solvent. We are not forced to take like that. We are serially diluting. So the dilution factor is 1/100. So in each step, you are eliminating a portion of the previous solution. And we are adding more solvent in the next step, serially. So that's how we mathematically say that it is 1/40C or that is this much dilution. We can go up to any level. And today, for these homeopathic manufacturers, they have a new technique called Korsakoff's method, where they can even manufacture 1000C and 50,000C. So forget about 40C. Okay. So that's done using machines. They will rapidly inject water to a machine, and they will be removing the water in specific times, and that will be changed in such manner, and they are calling it as that method, and they say that it is 1000C, and we are made to believe that it is 1000C. That's it. It's all about labeling. Homeopathy exists because of a label. That's the ultimate. Okay. So I think it's done.